Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Richest Men In Town podcast. I'm Mike Freeman, and along with my good friend and co-host Tyler Gould, we're excited to welcome you to our little podcast project. Tyler and I are just a couple of middle-aged husbands and dads driven to live our best lives. We want to be better every day, so here we'll be sitting down with great people. Not famous people, but great people that we admire, to learn their secret to living the rich life. Probably not the rich life you're thinking of. Our guests come in humbled and surprised at the invitation and hopefully leave feeling proud and grateful, realizing just how good they really have it. So pull up a chair, stay a while, and raise a glass with us as we toast our guests to the richest men in town.
I have some burning questions for you right now.
Oh, that's funny because I had some for you too.
Okay, well, we'll get to yours in a second. I have a feeling mine are much more serious than yours. But
is it more serious than what the hell is a Bitcoin?
No, we could probably. I'm sure we have a guest that'll happily tell us.
I would love to do that because I'm sure they would teach me how to make a lot of money because that thing's going crazy right now. I don't even know.
Yeah, someone just was showing me some charity that said give a Bitcoin to someone you love, and you just give someone Bitcoin. I kind of was wondering if it was like the People Fund on that Seinfeld episode where you're just printing out cards and handing them out to people.
It has that feel. It feels like that a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, your question. Sorry, burning question.
My question, dude. I've got two questions for you, and I'm going to take notes. I have a pen handy and some paper. When does Christmas music make an appearance in your household?
Oh, it's there, man. Right after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
It's day after Thanksgiving, all things Christmas.
Now, in my house, the day after Halloween, Christmas music is on.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Now, look, I have a beautiful wife who is kind and gracious.
Is there consensus on that? Like across the board, or it sounds like that last comment has me thinking that you're just along for the ride.
Well, I will say when I was a kid, I don't remember Christmas music coming out that early. It probably came out December, but Ricky is, and always has been since we've been married, after Halloween, Christmas music is on, and my kids love it. They think it's amazing. So they're.
But do they love it when they need to love it? Like at the moment, like when it's really happening and like it's actually Christmas, are they done or are they still in love with it?
I think it depends on the bounty of gifts that they receive.
Because I'm Mariah Carey all year long. You know what I'm saying? I could listen to that Christmas CD for days. Really? But like Donovan the Donkey?
Oh, dude. I mean, is that even a Christmas song?
I'm out. There are some sketchy Christmas songs.
I would agree.
I don't even think the Charlie Brown Christmas is Christmas because there's not even words.
It's jazz.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not Christmas.
But it happens. It comes up on my XM radio.
Yeah, I have a pretty interesting.
So are you, hold
Christmas
on, when you talk Christmas music, are you traditions or are you pop? Are you pentatonics? Are you Bing?
I'm everywhere. I love Bing. I love the old classics. Love them. Those are some of my favorites. It's nostalgia. But I will also listen to, like, I have the Weezer Christmas album. It's amazing. So as a matter of fact, yeah, I've got some interesting Christmas albums.
What's your take on Santa Baby? It's rather seductive. It's rather suggestive.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a gold digger element to that song.
I ain't saying she's the gold digger. I just picture like Marilyn Monroe and like "Happy Birthday, Mr. President," right?
Yeah. It's definitely
she's singing vibe. Like anyways, that's where.
Well, I mean, that's one way to get what you want. I mean, look, my Christmas shopping would have a different flair if that was the approach that was taken in my household.
You just have to catch me early in the month because you catch me later. I mean, you can want it all you want. It's like, sorry, I got no money.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll gladly pay you next year for. You're right. So the next question is this: Are you an on time? What is on time to Mike Freeman? 5 minutes early, 5 minutes late, or right on the button?
Oh, dude, I'm 5 minutes late.
Let's see. And I'm
Dude, I'm 5 minutes late on a good day. You know what my headstone is going to say?
Better late than never.
Worth the wait. Mike Freeman, worth the wait.
I'm a 5 minute early kind of person, which I don't know what that gets you. Get you nothing.
But okay, so do you do those like mental hacks of you like setting the clock 5 minutes ahead?
No, you just do it. You just say it's I got to be there at 7:30 in the morning. I get there at 7:25.
Okay, how can I be that guy? Because I want to be that guy because I think he gets the worm, right? That guy gets the worm. Early bird gets the worm.
I'm working at the worm, but
right.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know. It's been drilled into my head by my father since I was a small child. So, yeah.
That might be as we get into that New Year's resolution territory, that might be something I could explore. Because that would make a whole lot of people that live and work with Mike Freeman very happy. Because that's infuriating to a lot of people.
Well,
and honestly, at this stage in the game, some people might even be sick of it.
Well, my wife happens
work the wait. That guy, I'm sick of it.
My wife happens to be a 5 minute late kind of gal herself. So,
so you meet in the middle.
So yeah, I mean, I figure if you
show up on time and you're pissed.
If we're on time, man, we are golden. But I don't hold my breath. I don't let it. So
do you pace when it's starting to get a little? Are you a pacer?
I'm a pacer, dude. Like if I'm on a phone call at my house, I log 10,000 steps. Right, I log it, man. And here's the funny thing, dude. I was on the phone the other day with my son Quinn, who is serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, currently in the Fort Collins, Colorado mission. We're on FaceTime. And he is pacing like a madman. He got 10,000 steps, for sure. I was like, man, proud dad right there. His wife is going to be irritated as mine is when I pace, and that'll be good.
You're not like wearing spots in the carpet though, right?
No, I distribute. Yeah. You know? So you got some questions for him. What do you got?
Oh yeah, I got this. Let's go back to the Christmas.
Okay.
Obviously, with a podcast called Richest Men In Town, this is our time of the year, right?
Oh yeah.
Like we make some serious hay as we come into this most wonderful season. But I had an opportunity. So obviously, It's a Wonderful Life, George Bailey, top of this list.
I already watched it so far.
Your next favorite?
Oh, dude.
Holiday movie.
Well, wow. Like the very next, like number one, obviously, is It's a Wonderful Life. Very next, man. So look, I'm an Elf fan.
Watched it.
I love it. I appreciate Elf. But here, let me give you the...
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
It's a classic, dude. By the way, that was Jon Favreau, the director, who did the voice of the narwhal. Bye, buddy. So a little known fact, right? But that's not even close to. That's not known. How do you know that? Obscurity, man.
How do you know that? That's like I need you on Trivial Pursuit. I need you on my team.
If that question came up, we would kill it. But other than that,
can you imagine if like I'm with Regis Philbin, rest in peace, Regis Philbin, but yes. I'm on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and that obscure, crazy question comes up?
Call me.
How do you know this?
Look, I've done a little research. I don't know. I watched the show. It was on the show. What am I going to do? I don't know. But all right. So next, let me give you another. Let me give you another classic that is not spoken of often enough. Prancer for the win.
Shut up, dude.
Dude, have you seen it?
No.
Oh, dude.
Prancer?
Dude, listen.
Is this some kind of like anti-fairy tale, like Shrek? Like I'm gonna go against the Rudolph thing, and it's all about Prancer.
Well, you gotta spread the love. I mean, Rudolph comes in one night, turns his nose on. We're singing songs about the guy.
But what does Prancer do?
I mean, he
prances. He prances, obviously.
Yeah, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer. He's the third guy. I don't know what he does. He pulls a sleigh. And he was doing it long before Rudolph was, all right? But listen to me. You've got to watch this movie.
I'm thinking like
Christmas Story.
Christmas Story.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I'm thinking like, how come only the crazy funny ones are coming up? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
No, is there no love for Miracle on 34th Street?
I love Miracle on 34th Street. The original. Amazing. Love it.
You got to go color though, right?
Dude, but you go black and white. You go old school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you go old school.
Yeah. White Christmas, right?
Not a fan. No.
Christmas Vacation has got to be up there.
All right, so let's talk about that one for a second, because I did watch this one the other night, as a matter of fact, at my wife's request, which is interesting. That movie, there were many moments where I had to I had to be on the quick edit, man. I don't know what was happening. I was like, it goes back to those movies that I used to watch as a kid that I thought were great, and then I show them to my own children, and I'm like, my parents were awful. Like, they let me watch this with no.
Yeah, that one gets a free pass. Like, a whole lot of people are looking past a whole lot of stuff.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, it was rough, but it's funny. You know, you can't go wrong with Chevy Chase in that era. That's
yeah. Okay, this one's deal breaker.
All right, let's hear it.
Where are you at with the tree?
With the tree?
Are you real? Are you fake?
Dude,
are you cut your own? I don't even know where you'd cut your own in Chula Vista. Like, come on, right? You'd have to go.
Your neighbors start to hate on you after a little while. You get the cops coming. I am a real tree guy for sure. I have done the cut your own not in Chula Vista, but in different areas. I love all of it, man. I love the real tree. To me, look, no disrespect for the fake tree folk. I mean, it's fake, but whatever. All right. The real tree, there's something about the real tree and the smell of pine in your house, man. It's just tough to beat.
You know, I'm with you, but I'm about to not be with you. Like, we're going, right? This Saturday, we're going, or we're getting in the car and we're going to go do this thing, and it's going to be amazing. But give me a tall, pre-lit, right?
We're talking like LEDs built into it. You just
give
plug
me
that
a
bad boy in.
pre-lit, fake bad boy, bought at the right time of year when, you know, like the smart people buy it. Not right now. Yeah, but like every year we go real tree, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Family sitting on the couch. That tree's going to fall down.
Really?
Literally. It's fallen down the last 3 years.
I mean,
I don't know what it is. Like, maybe I just need to get a plumb bob or something and make sure that thing's square. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's an interesting conundrum, to have a tree that's collapsing on you.
You ever had that?
I haven't.
You ever had that?
Well, when I was a kid, I knocked the tree down a couple of times, probably just roughhousing around it though. But I will say this, like, see, we're having this discussion about fake tree or real tree, and I'm sort of disgusted by the fake tree bit. But I think at some point in time, there was a discussion like, listen, they've got these new things. There are these lights they plug in. Do we do candles on the tree, or do we plug in these lights? Right? And there was somebody who was like, you know, screw the lights, man. We freaking light those candles because that's how we've always done it. So I don't know. Right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? When the tree falls, I got to tell you, from personal experience, protect your wife. Don't protect yourself, because then it looks bad.
Yeah, look,
right?
I haven't had
tree falls, and I protected myself, and I ignored my loved ones, and they all looked at me like, all right,
yeah,
we know we're on our own in the, you know, when it hits
apocalypse.
The fan.
When the zombie apocalypse comes, Mike is all for himself.
All right, hey, let's we've got some good times coming tonight. So tonight we are breaking the mold. We're doing some things. We've got Nick Foote. Now this guest is actually family. So you got to be nice to Mr. Nick Foote, right?
Relatively nice guy.
So Mr. Nick Foote is a nephew of mine, and he is an expecting father. He's got a due date. He doesn't. Come on, let's be real. She has a due date of December 30th. And so we thought, hey, let's bring in Nick. Let's learn a little bit about Nick's life. But then in about 15, 20 minutes, we're going to open up the floodgates, and we've got a bunch of our Richest Men in Town folks coming back. And these guys just happen to be dads, and they think they know something. Just because you're a dad doesn't mean you know how to help other people be a good dad. Right. But here at the Richest Men in Town, these guys are doing some cool things as dads. And so we brought them in saying, hey, let's bring these guys in and connect them with Nick. All right. So let's bring Nick in, and I'm actually going to run some of these questions by him. I'm not going to hit him with the Bitcoin. I don't know if anybody knows what a Bitcoin is. So I'm not going to hit
a little bit of change in your pocket, right?
I'm not going to hit up Nick and have him explain what cryptocurrency is. Hey, Nick Foote, welcome to the Richest Men in Town. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We're good. Up, we're excited to have you, brother. So we have some eternal questions of the soul related to Christmas season. Are you ready for this? You're just jumping into the conversation.
Okay.
And you got to contribute. Okay.
And this is pass or fail. I just got to throw that out there.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good.
Right. Maybe 3 strikes, right? Maybe 3 strikes. Okay. Real tree, fake tree.
Depends on where you live, I guess.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. So Nick's coming to us from SoCal. He's an Arizona guy. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine Arizona is a place where you could just get in your car and go cut down a tree.
Not typically.
And I don't think Southern California is either where you're at.
I don't think so well.
So you have sucker written across your forehead, and you're going to go to one of those lots, and you're going to drop.
That is maybe that's a discussion I need to have with my wife.
Hey,
maybe
Nick,
we need to.
Don't let his sour tone sway your answer. All right.
Okay.
There's no sucker written on your forehead. So just
I'm a disgruntled real tree guy. I'm a real tree guy that wants to be a fake tree guy. I can tell. Right? Because I've had some traumatic experiences. Like, let's be real. I can remember as a kid, I'm haunted by trees falling on me. And as a kid, one time the tree was so out of balance, I actually stapled it to the wall.
Oh, wow.
That's how bad it is.
That's like something out of like an 80s movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like what Chevy Chase would have done.
Okay, so I'm getting real tree. Mm-hmm. Right? Are you a Christmas music guy? Do you have it playing in your house, in your car right now?
I am a Christmas music guy, but the earliest I can listen to it is like after Thanksgiving now.
Okay,
like we can't go anything before that.
Okay, we're set. We're solid.
Okay.
Pop, traditional, all of it?
I'm good with pretty much anything when it comes to Christmas the Donkey. Music. I'm good. Yeah, we're good with like that. We got the hymns going. Get like the more modern pop stuff.
All right.
We got to make sure we have like the John Lennon Merry Christmas song.
Nice.
John Lennon in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm good with just about anything.
Okay.
All right.
What about your Christmas movie of choice? Now, it's already default. You're on a podcast called Richest Men in Town. We know the number one Christmas movie of all time is It's a Wonderful Life. We actually are petitioning that it's not just a Christmas movie, that you watch that thing any season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? What's number 2 for you? You're going to watch a holiday movie. Where are you going?
What is it? A Christmas Story? Ralphie?
Christmas Story. Nice.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the song. That's the one you'll always find us watching every Christmas, or at least every Christmas season.
I love it.
Good times.
All right, you passed. That's good.
Okay.
That's good, man.
All right, Tyler Gould, let me give you a little breakdown of young Nick here.
Yeah.
Nick is coming in at a whopping 24 years of age.
24
years of age. I love this kid. Not because I have to. We are family, but it helps when you love family and you don't have to. You don't have to fake it, right?
This is true.
So Nick came to us. Nick came to me. We were talking about the podcast. He's a fan of the program, and is like, 24, man. I don't know if you got the chops to get on the show. But Nick's got some exciting things happening. He is expecting his first child, a boy, right?
Yeah.
Can you announce the name? Is that public? Are you going with that?
Yeah, I think it's free game now. It will be
full name. Hey, Nick, because there's millions of people listening. So
millions. Yeah, across the entire globe. I've seen the analytics on this that you post.
By the time your son is 25 years old, there could be millions of people that have listened to this.
I will. When he's older, I will have him listen to this, and he will just.
That's part of the fun, right? That's part of the fun. It's like you're laying down legacy right here, right in front of him. Yeah. So, what's the name going to be?
It'll be Benjamin Kiyoshi.
Benjamin Kiyoshi Foote.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So Nick recently graduated from Brigham Young University.
Yes.
Right. What degree?
I'm a political science major, and so it'll be my bachelor's in political science.
Okay.
Nice. Cool. Congratulations on both fronts.
Yeah. So this guy's got a lot of things happening, and so we thought it'd be kind of fun to get into his life a little bit, and then let in some rowdy boys. Right, let in some of our Richest Men in Town alum, and they're going to come in, and we're gonna tell Nick Foote the real, the good, the bad, the ugly of being a dad. Right,
I like
it's gonna be like a crazy initiation kind of.
We're gonna answer every question you have. You might not have any questions. I don't know if there are any questions anymore because Google has all the answers, right?
Oh yeah.
But we're gonna connect our Nick Foote with the network and just kind of see what happens. Honestly, Nick, we might forget about you because we're so excited to see some of these guys again.
Okay.
You might just get lost, and you might have to say, "Hey, you, I'm over here."
I'll just pipe up a little bit then.
Yeah, I'm over here in the corner. So
okay, Nick, wait. Let me ask Nick this question because I'm dying to know. I'm. You can't give me the answer that you've enjoyed Richest Men in Town simply because you get to hear Mike's buttery voice.
His beautiful voice.
Yeah,
buttery
through the airwaves. What drew you to Richest Men in Town?
I do like listening to podcasts, but what has drawn me specifically to this one is that it really just seems like it's kind of like a casual, kind of more of like a conversation feel to it. And it's really just, I think the topics about, what does it mean to be like the richest man in town? I think that has really drawn me towards it, especially given my situation, and that I'm kind of like I'm a man, but I'm kind of like maybe like quote unquote like a younger man, or like a new to the game of manhood, I guess, right?
Yeah, I like it.
So,
I like that.
We're like seasoned veterans, right?
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
And so I think that specifically, the fact that this podcast, it's like a conversation about really important topics about how to be just a better man in general and a better person, and I guess how we would say here, like a more rich man, the richest man in town.
I like it. So you've been married a year and a half. You got a baby on the way, and you've got obviously some diverse interests. But I like the fact that here you are at 24, thinking about what do I have to do to be better, right? Yeah. I mean, I love that pursuit. I don't know if I was dialed in at 24 thinking about those things as much. But I think it's important that we're on that page. And you know what? We can go ahead and give Mike's buttery voice some credit for drawing you in. So that's fine.
So hey, Nick, you mentioned you're a runner.
Yeah.
I happen to know that you run the most grueling as a competitive runner. in track and field in high school, you ran the most grueling race there is.
That is correct.
What is the most grueling race there is?
Oh, the 800 meter for sure.
Why is the 800 the most grueling race there is?
Okay, so the thing about the 800 is that, I mean,
2 laps, right?
It's 2 laps, yeah, 2 laps. Or if it's like a short indoor track, it'd be like 4 laps, I guess. But typically on an outdoor track, it's 2 laps. So the thing about the 800 is that it's typically too long to sprint the full thing, but it's also too short to not sprint the whole thing. And so in longer races like the 1600 or the 3200, it's more about like pacing and like keeping pace and kind of keeping your momentum up and keeping yourself your lap times well rounded and things. But for the 400 or like a 200 or 400, you're just sprinting as fast as you can, and that's basically all there is to it. But for the 800, you have to kind of mix the two strategies, I guess. You have to be able to take a very fast pace, but then keep that for kind of a longer time. And I think that's kind of the hardest part about it. It's that it's a really hard mental game to it, because you just feel like you could drop at any point during that second lap, because you feel like you've just been trying to sprint for so long. But after some practice, it does definitely get better, and you can actually, if you're like me, you can actually start to enjoy it, which I always did. So
that's some kind of sick world that you live in, right? Enjoying a 2-lap sprint.
Yeah.
But I do kind of like that, what you said. It's too long to sprint and too short not to sprint. I like that. I think that sums up a lot of my feelings about a lot of things. But I gassed out after the first quarter lap.
Yeah.
Well, how do you develop that mental game? That mental toughness?
That was, I think, a major thing that my coach always focused on. He was really well invested in like his runners, like mental game, and keeping us like kind of really wanting us to always make sure that we had control over like our bodies, I guess. And maybe that sounds like a lot, but like he always, part of like distance coaching and distance running is, it's pretty well known that distance running is like 90% mental and like 10% like actual, body capabilities, I guess. And that's really true. And so mental game is all that really most of everything that there is to distance running. And so my coach really focused in on that and really had us, really helped us push ourselves in practice. So that way we could like exercise, I guess, this sense of, being in full control of, our mental capacity and what we can do with our bodies, what we can do as we're trying to really stress our running capabilities.
Nice. Is there bleed over in those lessons to other parts of your life?
Oh, definitely. I think this whole lesson of like mental strength and mental and like self-control, I think it really relates to like a lot of like things that you would relate to like self-control and being in control of like your life and of your like mental health, maybe even, and how you handle stress, and how you handle just any given situation, I guess. And so I definitely can see where running has helped me. Like obviously running has helped me in my life because I've been healthy, because, running is just a really good exercise. But more than that, running has helped me really develop, I think, a mental strength that I think has given me, a really good advantage in a lot of the things that I've done in like school and job searching and internship searching, as I am looking to become a dad, like, and all the different like stressful things that have been coming up, especially around COVID-19. It's been, quite frankly, just a really big blessing, I think. It's been a really big blessing that I've been fortunate to have developed, I think, a more I guess a stronger mental game.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
fantastic.
I think that's interesting because it's all relative, right? Because I hear you, Nick, and I know that right now things are not ideal for anyone, right? But Tyler, to you, when you hear a 24-year-old, 1 year and a half married, expecting his first son, Nick Foote, talk about stress, what is what thoughts go through your mind?
Well, I can remember that time of like preparing to bring the first baby home, and I think there's just so much unknown there. So that idea of stress, I can remember that feeling of stress for sure. But it's funny because you think about, I look back to those times and I think, man, those were crazy times. But then I look at the ground I stand on now and I'm like, yeah, these are crazier times, So it's kind of funny. It kind of gets a little crazier, but it's good, like it's so much, there's so much good. And I love that you talked about like the mental game of running and sort of being able to stay even keeled through stuff, because I think that's the challenge. There's so much stuff that comes at you on a regular basis and will continue to come at you. Mike and I have talked about this over lots of episodes, but when I was really young, I used to think that, someday everything would be perfect and easy. And right now is the really hard part. But I've realized that maybe it's the opposite, is that life's just hard. And sometimes we get a glimpse of the really good and easy times. And you're about to be in that time where it's stressful now, but I'm telling you, this is the sunlight through the clouds, man. Bringing a baby home. That's a super exciting time. I'm excited for you, and I'm sort of jealous in a certain way because I sure miss having babies around the house for sure.
Yeah. I think of that lesson that Elder David Bednar taught about the load. I think the story goes something like the guy's out. He gets in his pickup truck and he drives out to cut some wood. He gets off the road into some snow and he gets stuck. And he figures, well, I'm here. I might as well cut some wood and load up the truck. Turns out as he cuts the wood and loads up the truck, the weight of the load gives him the traction,
frees him up,
the leverage that he needs to get unstuck.
Yeah.
And I think that life is interesting because life gives you these stresses. And while you're going through it, Nick, I'm not making light, man. You are going through some stressful things right now. But in that stress, you're getting the load that is going to give you the traction to be able to move into this next exciting chapter, right? I mean, exciting as far as career, marriage, family, all of that.
But here's the cool thing too. I mean, I think that, so we're about to open the doors here, Nick, and just let people pour in, right? We got some guys sitting in the waiting room waiting for us to open the doors. And it's going to be fun. It'll be interesting. Yeah. But man, when I was your age, if I would have had 5 or 6 or 7 guys I could sit around with and just talk to, that would have been a huge blessing. So let's do it. Yeah, let's open it up. Let's let these guys in the room.
All right, let's see what happens.
All right, let's see what happens.
Okay, here we go. We've got some folks coming in.
All right, it's
gentlemen,
a relatively handsome group.
That's a motley crew. That's a motley crew right there. Welcome to the Richest Men in Town again, gentlemen. So I'm looking, and I'm just going to announce these guys out, Nick, if that's cool. Everybody meet Nick.
Hey, Nick.
I'm gonna maybe. Hey, Nick. How about this challenge? I'm gonna go in order of most recent episode. Tyler, could you do this?
Yeah, I think
Let's go with David Voigtlander. Welcome to the Richest Men in Town. You were just here, and I appreciate you changing your backdrop from that Arizona Cardinal garbage. Good.
He's repping anyway.
You're okay with the BYU garbage then, I guess?
I'm good there. I could have used a little better basketball performance against USC, but anyways. And then, is it gonna? I think it's Sergio, right?
No, Ashton, maybe, right?
Ashton Buswell, welcome back.
Hey,
Then we got
everybody.
Sergio Carzoli, and then the grandpa of the group, right? A long time ago, Dave Specht was on the show, and good to have you guys back. How's everybody doing?
Doing
Fabulous.
awesome.
Great.
Cool. I actually warned Nick that at this point, our affection for you guys might kind of overshadow, and we might even forget Nick's on the show.
We're just gonna mute Nick, and we'll just catch up.
Yeah, just go for it.
But you guys know the situation. Nick's actually family. Nick's a nephew of mine. He's expecting his first, and it's going to be December 30th.
Yes.
So
Right in time for the tax credit, baby.
Yeah, that is true.
Write that down, Nick. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Hey, that little tip right there is probably worth the cost of admission, Nick. Right there.
Yeah, there you go.
You got it.
Amen, man.
So let's just get a quick survey of the room. Can you go through really quick and let me know who you're married to and kids, names and ages? How about that, gentlemen? Can
And
you
wait,
do that?
when you talk about ages, you have to give birth year.
Oh, well.
No,
No, that's crazy. That's crazy.
No.
That's crazy. All right, never mind.
That's like cruel and
Birthday
unusual
is fine.
punishment.
Yeah.
But let's get some credibility here. So Dave Specht,
Hold on, I'm doing my homework. I'm writing them down. Have someone else go first. I'm nervous now.
So let's go in the order, the same order. Let's start with Dave Voigtlander and
Dave Voigtlander.
fill us
Nick?
in.
I'm my wife's name's Carissa. We have 3 kids, 6, 7, and 8. So years
7, 8. Nice.
2012, 13, and 14.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what
Nick, I dare you to do that. I dare you to stack them like that.
Back to back years. That's daring. That is daring to say the least.
All right, Ashton.
You're up.
So I'm Ashton Mitchell Buswell. My wife Lydia Ann Buswell. Through some middle names. Do you remember your wife's middle names, guys?
My wife. Yeah, that's
Kidding.
great.
I've got 4 girls now. Since I was last on the show, I just had a baby last week.
Congratulations. That's right.
Awesome.
Congrats.
I've got a 10-year-old, 10 and a half. Nick, when you're a kid, half years are just as important as the full year.
Yeah.
So
Of course, of
10 and
course.
a half, 7 and a half, 3, and 8 days.
8
Or
days.
Wow.
Damn.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Okay.
13 days.
13 days.
Sorry.
13
Sorry.
days.
You lose
Time
sleep the
flies.
first couple of weeks, you're not really
You're
sure.
still
what
not. Yeah, you're still not sleeping.
Exactly.
So
All
hey,
right.
Ashton, with that 13-day-old, we're probably going to be coming to you quite a bit here
Yeah.
tonight
Yeah.
because
Yeah, this will be like a
that
practical
experience is pretty
application.
relevant.
Yeah. How to change a
Take a
diaper.
lot before the baby comes.
Yeah. Sergio, lay it on us, man.
All right, it's gonna be Elizabeth K. Carzoli. That's my wife, Dr. Carzoli.
Doctor.
Oh,
Then I-
okay.
and then I got Samantha K. April 7th, 2000. No, June 3rd, 1997.
Okay.
Look at
And
this
then
guy.
Sergio Daniel Carzoli, April 7th, 2000. One is out in Spain, the other one is still here.
Man, I feel like you were looking at LDS tools, but I don't know. Yeah.
Hey, Sergio, I'm a June 3rd.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, check that out. That's cool. Okay.
All right. Last but
Dave
not
Specht,
least,
hit me.
All right. I did my homework. I think I'm good now. My wife is Tennille, and her maiden name is Wells, and I have 6 kids. My oldest is McKaylee. She's 19. She's a freshman at BYU, Idaho. And Damon's 17. Reichert's 14. Jet is 11. Liberty is 7. And Emma is 3. So we got a lot going on.
That's a good spread. So look, I joke about the years, but several years ago I moved into a new ward, and when I was sitting at the end of sacrament meeting, one of the primary presidency came over and they said, "Tell me your kids' names and birthdays." So I said, here's their names and here's their birthdays. And she's like, oh, but I need their years. And I was like, you got to talk to their mom. I don't know. From there, I'm out. So I appreciate LDS Tools, Sergio. That was good. That was big.
Hey, and Nick, remind me at the end of the call. I'm gonna forward you something. Our very own Dave Speck, he had a viral post a while back of I think it's 10 things not to say to a pregnant woman.
Okay.
Very, very helpful, Nick. Very helpful.
Okay.
Maybe a little late for you, but
I know. I may have already failed.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You got 18 days or what? 22 days to redeem yourself. That's all right.
Yeah.
So Ashton, you gave us a little update. You have like a new human being on the planet since the last time we got together. Anybody else have any breaking, exciting things since the last time we got together on the show?
Wow. All right. Ashton.
All right.
Back to you, Ashton.
That's good. Well, hey, Tyler, put a marker on that. We'll edit that whole question. It'll
Yeah,
go
exactly.
away. Hey, before we do turn our attention to Nick, I just want to thank you guys. 'Tis the season to be grateful, and I was telling Tyler that this Thanksgiving seemed a little more rich, just with the connections that we've been able to make through this, the conversations that we've been able to have, the folks that we've been able to, connect with, maybe first time in a long time, or for some of you, first time ever. Right? Like I'm seeing some folks here that I have met only through Zoom, and that doesn't really matter because my family can attest to it. You guys were kind of woven into the stories I was telling this Thanksgiving. Like honestly, listening to your stories, my family's laughed with you. My family's teared up with you. Dave Voigtlander, I was telling you, your story of Lily broke my wife's heart. Right. And just like, I feel like your lives and your lessons that you came and shared, the way you showed up really, really did really have made me think about things a little bit, made me think about my interactions with my family, made me think about my role as a person, as a man, as a husband, as a father. So thank you. I just want to tip my hat. I'm not wearing a hat, but I just want to commend you guys for the way that you showed up and the good that you're doing. I don't know if you've seen, we're at about 7,300 downloads. Dave Speck, we're probably 5,000 beyond when you jumped in on the show. So
and no thanks to me though. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for pointing that out.
Hey, we picked up 5 or 6. Don't worry, man. It's all good.
Oh, it's killing me.
But and it is fun. This is now we're coming up on who would have thought we're episode 31. We recently had some press even out of Arizona, thanks to the Arizona, the Beehive magazine for covering our work. But it's exciting to see you all again, and now we have this rising generation, this youth right here in front of me, 24 years old. You guys all remember being 24?
Yeah.
So let's hit him with this, Mike, because before you guys jumped on, we were talking to Nick, and he said he was talking about the stresses of life, right? And he's a runner, and he runs to help kind of alleviate some of that stress. And he talked about some of the lessons learned from his coach as he was training to be a runner. And some of you guys have shared those same stories of coaches and influence of those. But Mike asked me as Nick was talking to us, do you remember those days being that age or the days of bringing home the first baby into the house? What do you guys remember about that time? And let's contrast that with the stresses of today and what that looks like now. Ashton, start us off, would you?
Yeah, I remember, Nick, when I first had my first daughter, and every kid since, but especially the first kid, we had Hallie. We're in the hospital room. We've had 3 kids in San Diego, 1 in P-Town, Provo, Utah. That first kid, Hallie came out and I looked outside and I saw cars still driving and people walking on the road. And I'm like, what are they doing? This is the biggest event in the world. There are people still out having like normal lives. Everything should stop right now. I was like legit kind of in my own little world, like looking out like something's wrong. Because I thought this is the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. Why isn't it everybody else is like not acknowledging that this is the biggest thing ever? But it was like, and every kid since I reflect back on that time and joke with my wife, like, wait a minute, people are still going to their jobs and they're still having like normal life. This is weird because it's such a monumental experience, your first kid, that it's like the whole world should stop right now. And we should all celebrate this little tiny 6 or 7 pounder, coming into the world. But
well, when your last
11 pounder,
yeah, or 11. I took the day off for your last birth, so
right.
Yeah, Dave, what about you?
Yeah, so our first baby was born in Rexburg, Idaho in November, and we lived in a basement apartment. Nick, don't ever live in a basement apartment in Rexburg, Idaho.
Dark existence, man. It's a dark.
It was dark. It was difficult. If I could give any advice, it would be do whatever you can to make your wife's life comfortable, and your life will be good. I think looking back, I had no clue like the burden that she was bearing, because I was going to school. I was running a little carpet cleaning business to stay out of debt. And I just had no idea the stresses that she was dealing with all day. So, err on the caution of being helpful, err on the side of being helpful, and your life will be good.
You'll probably still get yelled at from time to time for being.
You might.
Sergio.
What I remember is bringing Samantha. Well, before talking about stresses, I got to hand it to Dr. Carsoli. She got her bachelor's the week before she gave birth to Samantha. A week later. But one thing that I remember, we were at the Navy hospital. We bring Samantha home, and we just kept staring at her. We wouldn't go to sleep. And the kid was passed out, like lights out. And me and her looked at each other like, what are we doing? One of us has to go to sleep. So I will take one for the team there, Nick, and let her go to sleep, because that baby is going to need her more than it's going to need you.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Dr. Carzoli. Man. And see, Sergio does it right. Like right out of the gate, he defers to Dr. Carzoli.
Yeah.
Smart man. All right, David.
So for me, we brought home Annabelle. I was 39, so it was a little bit of an age difference between having my first kid and yours, and there's some maybe some pluses and minuses both ways for some of that. So at 39, getting Annabelle from the hospital, and again we have kind of a backstory to some of ours, but brought her home because Annabelle was not our blood. I knew that my wife, Carissa, she wasn't going to be able to breastfeed. And so I will echo what Sergio and maybe everyone said is because of that, I wanted to make sure I was pulling my weight, because the baby needs to be fed every couple hours. It doesn't matter what time of day is. And not that I would want anyone to default to, well, you're the one who has to feed it. You're the woman. I didn't ever even have that ability to give that excuse, you could say. And so, when it was time for me to do the 4-hour block and be up in the middle of the night and still be to work at 6 or 7 in the morning, you just do it. Pull, give her that space and that time. Because probably when you're out doing work or out of the house, she's contributing just as much at home with that little one.
But there's some natural man tendencies that you're going to have to overcome, because sleep's kind of important. Yeah. Right. And you're laying there and you can justify it. You can justify that, right? Because you might have a big day, or you might have a long day at the office, or, whatever that might look like. But can you guys talk a little bit? You've hinted at it already, but can you talk a little bit about what having a kid did for how you look at your wife now, right? Or what that did for your respect for mothers.
Well, I'm a little bit older. We're on our last kid. I guess I'm not a little bit old. I'm older than you. Nick. But having this last kid, it's brought a lot more perspective. When I had our first kid, how old was I? 27. And so, 10-year span, having a couple kids in between. When I was first married, I tried really hard to do whatever I could. And our first baby, she was wide-eyed in the middle of the night, and I took that to 6 a.m. shift, just like, go to sleep, and she just wouldn't do that. But now I luckily this baby isn't that bad, and I just respect my wife like crazy, like that what they do. And I didn't know. After each one of our kids, she said, I probably would have had just like been done there. And I was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, I know you wanted more kids, and I felt like God wanted us to have more kids, but if it was up to me, we would have one. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Because it was so difficult for
Right.
to be pregnant for so long and give up your body, and then to nurse and that takes, right now, my wife, we calculated it last night, she's feeding, changing diapers between feedings like 6 hours a day. That's not quite a full-time job, but basically that's a full-time job, and it's right in the middle of everything. And anyway, just the incredible amount of respect and just tender love. She'll still hold this little baby and look at it like this is the most precious thing in the world, and that she has slept all night, and she's got all the beauty sleep and everything that she needs, like that this little thing isn't impeding on her life at all. It's just like she wants to be there, and it's just amazing to see how much they love their little babies and then what they do for them,
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it ironic that earlier we were talking about the load, right? And the load giving us traction. I think that was before you guys had joined us, and I shudder to think of what their load is like.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I have a load and I have responsibilities or whatever, but the hand that rocks the cradle really, really has the burden. Right. I mean, respect for them. And then kind of going to what Dave Specht was saying about her needs. I can remember early on in marriage, and maybe this is a habit I need to bring back, but I would pray to be sensitive to know her needs, to know the needs of my wife. And Nick, I think that's great advice to every once in a while, just ask for that sensitivity to know, because it's not going to be easy. And sometimes you're going to be getting it and you don't even know what you did, right? But to have some insight into their needs, and also just understand that kind of like what Ashton was saying, what you guys are going to go through is not easy, but it's going to be different for her.
This may be totally off topic, but Nick, I don't know. One thing I wish I would have done is taken more time off at the beginning. If I could look back and probably do it again, it wouldn't have been just to take a handful of days off or a week. Like, my employer offered me plenty of time. Even back then, nowadays, even more time for it. And I would have taken advantage of it. And whatever time, if I don't know your work situation or employer or whatever, but whatever time you can take to be there, really, again, for probably the child, so your wife can recover and get better, and that bonding that is so critical. If I could do it again, I would have taken more time off work.
One thing I would say, Nick, is pay attention to the process of that baby coming into the world. That was a really spiritual time, and watching, and being there close as my wife labored. My love for her grew so much in watching her being willing to do that so that we could grow our family. And it's just such an amazing, miraculous thing that they're willing to do to to have a family. And my relationship with my wife was not the same after that, because I was there, in the room. And I think there's some that choose to not be around. And if you can not pass out, brother, I would just stay right there with her, and be as helpful as you can. Hold her hand, rub her feet, whatever she needs. But take it all in. Don't wish it gone, because those are some special moments.
Hey, Nick, I would advise that if you've taken the Lamaze classes, I mean, at one point during both of her, when she was giving birth, I took control. Tyler, don't act surprised, but I actually took control, and I looked at her and I said, you look at me and you breathe as I breathe. And that helped her deliver those kids. Because sometimes she's going to be looking at you. The room might be full of medical staff, but she's going to keep her eyes on you. And you're going to have to, even if you're a wreck inside, you're going to have that face of assurance that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So
we'll fact check that with Dr. Carzoli if you actually. I'm just saying, man.
On the Lamaze thing, Nick, I would just encourage you to attend all classes. Don't skip one thinking you won't need that. We skipped the C-section, and our first kid was emergency C-section.
Oh, gosh.
So don't skip anything.
Okay.
And I thought it was funny because we were in those classes and they would give you like clothespins to put on your earlobes so you can experience pain. Dude, that's not even close.
Clothespins on the earlobes, man. That's interesting. Yeah.
And you're at that stage now. You're home stretch. You're inside of a month now. So you have no right at all, Nick, to go into your house in any time and offer any complaint. Right? You cannot complain about a thing because she has got you beat every time.
Yeah, I mean, my advice in that department is just start a podcast. That's all you can do. Complain all you want, right? But other than that, you're out, man. So Nick has been married for a year and a half, right, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So a year and a half, and we've got Dave. How long you been? David Voigtlander, how long you been married?
11 years.
11 years. All right. Ashton, how long you been married?
14.
14. Sergio?
Wait, this is like my golf scorecard. 11, 14, 25. Got it.
Notice I'm not asking dates, so we're just going with years. Sergio?
28.
28. Oh man. All right. And Dave?
20.
20. Okay. So Nick, I'm going to ask you this question. In a year and a half of time of marital bliss, what has being married taught you?
I think
you're on a recorded line, Nick.
Yeah, right. I think being married so far has taught me. I think it's taught me how to be a little less selfish. I think I still think that in a lot of ways I could still be a lot more selfless. But I think having someone else to, I guess, like take care of or something, right? Someone else a companion to look out for and to try to provide for, and someone that I could really be very close to and kind of confide in, or, be my number one friend, or, I think it's been really good in teaching me how to, I think, be a lot less selfish as I was previously.
Okay. So those are good answers, and you can thank Dave for reminding you that you're being recorded. Yeah. Right? But those are really good answers. So I want to ask the same questions to you guys though, because you guys have some time under your belts, right? You've done this a little bit. Sergio's done this a little bit longer than all of us, but we've all got a little bit of time. So if listening to Nick's answer, which was a good answer, what does that look like with some additional time? What is that? What is being married and being a husband taught you? Dave Speck, why don't you start us out?
Well, the learning is never over, Nick. So whether you have no kids or you have 6, you know, when they leave the house, there's new lessons. You know, I would say I'm trying to figure out, you know, how to have my eyes open to the lessons that are coming, and maybe more than anything, just being ready for, you know, acting on promptings. I would say, I mean, that's huge with your whole family. It's especially huge for your wife.
Yeah.
You know, if you get a nudge to do something and it's good, go ahead and do it. You know, my wife is very patient, encourages me to lead out. I would encourage you to lead out in, you know, gathering your little crew for prayers and scriptures. I can't tell you enough, like, how important that is, at least to my wife, that she sees me leading that. And she encourages, but, you know, it means a lot, at least for my wife, that I lead out in those things and that my kids are seeing me lead. And I think, you know, you need to just be more than just a breadwinner and a protector.
Really quick, that reminds me of that. I think it is a bednar address, right? Where many times the brethren talk to sisters as they travel around the world. And they ask, you know, what can we do to help? And many times the sisters say exactly what Dave Speck said. Can you talk to men about leading, about calling family home evening, about calling family to prayer for come follow me or scripture study, you know? And I think that that's a space, and we're doing it tactfully, right? It's not an unrighteous dominion thing. It's not like you know, you rule the house with a heavy hand. It's none of that. It's assuming your spot as an equal meet right with your wife, but there is a role there for you to lead out, especially as the patriarch, right? And as the holder of the priesthood, and to do it without compulsory means, but to do it.
And I would say, Mike, that is, you know, I agree with both you and Dave. I think that's important. And I think,
well, disclaimer, I'm not saying I'm there yet.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, but I think that, you know, there's in my relationship, I'll just speak to my own relationship, right? There's it's a partnership for certain on all levels. I mean, you know, if I were to sit here and tell you that that family prayer and scripture study and family home evening and everything else that I fail at on a regular basis, but the times that we were successful was because I was the guy that was driving that bus, I'd be lying to you all right now, right? Because I've got a wife who, thank goodness, is patient enough to remind me over and over again of what I can be doing differently and how I can be doing it differently. And I'm grateful for that. I mean, I think that, you know, that spiritual power in the home is magnified when the partnership is in unison, you know, and so I think it's important to recognize that, as well, as Mike mentioned. But what about you, Sergio? Talk to me. 28 years, man.
28 years.
Take notes, Nick. This is going to be good.
Well,
all right.
No pressure. No pressure.
Technically, it's going to be, I think, almost 86, 30, 34, 6 of dating, 28 married.
Man.
But yeah, I'm the exception to the rule. But here's the thing, Nick. Just like Mike said, it's a partnership. You're equal. And yes, sometimes she's going to expect you to lead out. But I think from my own experiences, Liz always expects me to be ready to administer, to bless, to give her a blessing. The baby's coming. You always got to be worthy and ready to provide those priesthood blessings. Now, always try to make her fall in love with you all over again every day, because you're the one she looks up to. You're her man. So if you do that every day, if you treat her as your best friend, if you put her happiness as your number one priority, you will last forever. And 28 years and going strong, that's the best advice I can give you.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I actually wrote some stuff down, right? Good, man. That was really good. Dave Voigtlander, what do you say?
Yeah, I love the comments that have already been shared. I can't stress enough for me that it was really important and have a wife that is a spiritual warrior to our home and to me, and makes me accountable, and that's good. I need that sometimes, but I have always appreciated it, and I had a great role model probably with my dad and other people, and hopefully others have role models, but the value of, again, that spiritual aspect of the home starting now is super important to me, and the family prayers, the family home evening, even when the child is 2 weeks old, that you're still holding something or doing something and just creating that habit and routine. I almost love when my kids call me out and say, we didn't do home evening, or what's home evening? And I'm going like, sorry, I'm tapping out tonight. But I think it's good to have that spiritual presence in the home and set the foundation for what you want the rest of the child's life to be. I mean, I agree with the selflessness. When we talk about my 11 years, the selflessness, that was actually really hard for me and my wife, because we were single for a long time before. And so it all of a sudden become a true partnership. We had to work at it. We actually did counseling in our first part of marriage, not because we needed to, but because we knew the obstacles we were up against. And so I think I'm someone who likes to operate as one step ahead of things. I'm not perfect at that. I like the people I work with to be one step ahead of me, and I'm hopefully doing that. So whatever I can do to be one step ahead of my wife in thinking about the how she's feeling, or a challenge, or a kid struggling with homeschool, and how can I hurry and jump in before maybe the house gets too loud. And I think that goes with what Dave said, to be spiritually just aware of promptings and things too. And I think that'll all come into play. And
so I 14 years in, it's been the best, dude. You're gonna keep at it. The best is yet to come. I've done a few marriages recently, like quite a few marriages. I married Sergio's daughter, in fact. Yeah. As one of those marriages. And there's two bits of advice that I like make sure I always tell people that I'm recently marrying, that is something that as a newer married, or Sergio, the oldest married guy here, we should always do, which is my grandpa gave this advice. He said, when you're dating, you look and you try to figure out all the potential bad things that could happen for a potential spouse. I don't like that they do this, or I don't like about this. I don't like these different things that could potentially be a problem. But then when you get married, you have to flip that and look for all of the good that happens. So you may be working and you got this brand new baby, or at school or whatever, and you just had a hard day. And you come home and laundry's all over the place. Diapers are flying all over the place. There's dishes that are everywhere. But
everybody's nodding their head, Nick.
But the dinner has been made. Instead of saying, why the crap is this place so messy? It stinks in here, right? Instead of focusing on all those bad, to focus on the good. Thank you, honey, for making dinner. Right. And to flip that negatives over to looking into the positives. That's a big deal. Spec, you got something to add? I can see it.
Don't ever compare your day to hers.
Oh no.
Ever. Ever.
Oh, gosh.
Let me say one more time. Ever.
That sounds like that happened this evening, Dave.
No, it didn't happen.
Okay.
It didn't happen. That's a mistake. So always assume that she has had it harder than you have, and you're probably right.
Yeah.
It's true. So
Hey, no joke. I would get home, Nick, there was these things they used to have in cars called CD players.
Oh yeah, I think
Right.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. There would be times when I would come home and I knew that there was that she had had a day. I would just put in Coldplay Fix You,
Oh yeah.
and then I would just turn the car off, walk in, give her the keys, and she'd just get in the car and go away for a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Like, you're exactly right. Ashton and Dave, that's like spot on. Look for the positive and don't compare.
But
Trouble.
I'm sitting on a cliffhanger here because we had a second item, Ashton,
Oh.
and quite frankly, I've got to write it down because I got work to do tonight. So what is it?
So the second thing I heard recently from a good Christian friend of mine. He's starting a business around service, and he said, and I love this idea, I've tried to implement it more lately. He said, every day, if you can wake up every day and try to outserve your spouse, you're going to have a great day and you're going to have a great life. And so, and so that's the other bit of advice that I've been giving people is if you can figure out a way to outserve your spouse. And now the great thing about my marriage is I think I married way out of my league, and my wife says that she feels the same way. I don't know if she really does or she's just being nice, but we both hold each other like to this really high level. And if I can try to outserve her, and the awesome thing is if she can reciprocate that, and we're just trying to, no, I'll do that. No, I'll get it. I'll do that. And we're doing that all day rather than like the baby's crying, you're in bed, you're tired, and being like, well, she's got to get him anyway. Right. If you can try to serve first and try to go burp the baby, try to go calm the baby down, try to do whatever, then, and your wife have that same mentality, you'll just have happiness, man, in your marriage if you can outserve your spouse every day.
That's awesome.
Hey, I love that. Hey, can I tell a Nick Foote story? I don't even know if this is true, but it came up. Nick was not at Thanksgiving, so this is going to be fun.
Okay, let's hear it then.
I heard that you guys have a great relationship, and I don't know if this is true or not, but you got up and made your wife a sandwich. And then you brought the sandwich to her, and you sat down, and she got up and went and made you a sandwich. True story?
Oh, that has happened actually. Yeah.
That's pretty phenomenal, right? That's pretty. It sounds like you have a foundation of service in that, and I think that's going to be a benefit to you, because it sounds really easy what Ashton is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there's going to be temptation to keep score.
Yeah.
There's going to be temptation to be like, I did the last two. It's her turn to change. Don't take that bait.
One other thing is, and you won't realize this right away, but you're modeling for your kids what they're going to expect of their marriage. And now I have a 19-year-old girl, and I hope I've modeled how I just adore her mother and how I take care of her. So you're creating the expectation for your children's marriage, and that seems heavy. I had no idea. But the way that you treat your wife, the way you serve your wife, your kids are going to watch all of it. And, you're getting this advice early. Obviously, you got your first one coming, but it's huge. I mean, it's huge. I feel like, my wife and I have a great relationship. We have a lot of fun together. We work hard together, and but you set the bar for your kids on what they will expect of themselves in a relationship and how they will expect to be treated by whoever it is that they get into a relationship with. And that's a big deal. If they have high expectations for how they will be treated, likely they will find a good relationship.
Yeah, it's kind of like laying that foundation, right? If you're doing a wall or something, you put so much work into that foundation so that you can set the course. And I think that if you go in with the end in mind, you're going to be able to lay the foundation for that great work, similar to the law of the harvest, right? So I'm looking at Sergio and I'm looking at Tyler and some of the situations that your kids have found themselves in those, it's all fun. every year is a great year. Every age is a great year, or is a great age, but you really get to kind of enjoy the harvest, right? All the work that you have put in when they're little, and now they turn into like decent teenagers and decent young adults. And it's like, oh man, that was worth it. Right.
But it's funny because I'm listening to Dave talk about, modeling the relationship. And when my kids were young, were really young, I don't know that I thought about it a lot. Although I did think about, like, I wanted them to, I wanted to kiss my wife and hug my wife and let them see that, because I felt like they needed to know that, one, that affection is good, and two, that their dad loves their mom. But other than that, I don't know that I thought about it too much. But now I've got a daughter who's a return missionary, and she's got a boyfriend, right? And now you're thinking like, well, let's hope some things you right, so that you put the right example forward. But I appreciate you saying that, Dave, because I think that, we talk a lot about on this show about being intentional about things, and I think that's great advice. If I could rewind to 24 and have little Sydney back, toddling around the house, I think I'd think about that a little bit more. So
get a Kleenex.
Right, yeah, I'm gonna start crying in just a second, dude. But yeah, Nick, I would write that one down. That's great. I mean, obviously everything that you guys have said is fantastic, but that does make me think, when my oldest was younger, I didn't think about it as much. But just this last weekend, she was in town with her boyfriend. Great young man, nice young man. I'm going to have him meet all of you guys. Yeah, I mean, you definitely have that thought. Like, I hope that I put the right example forward so that they're seeking the right things. Right. So I love that. Yeah.
Hey, Tyler, can I piggyback on something Ashton said? I'm just trying to put myself in Nick's shoes and empathize what it would be like bringing in your first kid into the world of 2020. Ashton, you said the best days, right? The best days are the best is yet to come. And I love hearing that, because that's not something I'm hearing a lot these days. I believe that wholeheartedly, that the best is yet to come. How has being a dad given you hope, and what kind of hope can we give Nick, right? Raising a kid in the world that we're living in right now. What strategies do you have to insulate children from some of the ills that we see? Anybody that's in this raising kid business right now, how are you doing it in a way that's keeping them unspotted, or trying to?
I'll jump in there and I'll give you an example that happened, I think, 2 days ago. As you know, COVID has us working from home. Mm-hmm. I'm bringing upstairs a 5-gallon jug. Somehow this thing slips off my hand.
It's not chili, is it? It's not beans.
It's water all over the place. And my son is there. So what does he do? Instead of asking questions, he jumps in, starts cleaning the mess up. And he sees me that I'm very flustered. And he tells me this: it's okay. We just got to keep going. Who was the dad? I think he was the dad and I was a kid. So you wanna
the dad here?
Yeah. So you want your kids to bring you up to speed, to carry you on when you're all flustered.
Hey, can I, Sergio, since I have your velvety voice in my head, it's reminding me, I did some driving over the Thanksgiving break, and I-80 tends to give you opportunity to binge your favorite podcasts. And I listened to several of your guys' episodes, and Sergio, I'm just touched by your, I believe it was your experience finishing up a race, and your daughter comes.
Oh, yes.
Down the home stretch. And I think you said something like, raise them so that they'll bring you home.
Right. I can tell you this.
Love
Nick,
that.
I was gassed out half a mile before the end of the finish line. My daughter knew that daddy needed to pick it up. She runs back, finds me, and starts running and says, "Let's go. Follow me." And she brought me home. That's what you want to do. Your kids, when they're grown up, they want to bring you home.
Hey,
Thanks, Mike.
Nick, I got one for you. You know, and this is fairly recent. You're going to have to model to your kids that you're not perfect. They're going to know, but
I'm good at that modeling, Dave.
But they need to see you make amends. They need to understand that you understand how to repent. They shouldn't think that their dad is not regularly repenting. I've been thinking about this. I don't know if it came up on the last show or not, but
it did. I've been thinking about your question the whole time.
Yeah, I just think that it's important for us to go through things with them, and to manage through the struggles together, and not avoid the hard things. I think with the gospel, we're given so many tools to avoid pain, and then when the pain is there, to alleviate the pain. And we need to teach them through modeling, and not just preaching at them, but showing them, how to do that. And the world is not going to show them, and their priest quorum advisor, we should not expect them to show them either. Those are things that we need to be, modeling with them. And if we're working through something, I think it's totally fine for us to ask them to pray for us, for help. And you'll have to decide, what you share and what you don't. But, I worry that maybe I've waited a little bit long to let them in on some of those things that, that I'm working on, and maybe I've given them a sense that, I'm not repenting all the time, which is, false. But anyways, it's something I've been thinking about.
Hey, Nick, as you stand here and you're hearing all this advice and you're looking at what's going to happen in about a month, what are you afraid of?
I think
that list should be pretty long with
there's
30 days, man.
There's quite a bit to be afraid of. I think a big one would be, I think a big one is, I'm afraid that I won't be able to adjust into becoming a good dad, because up until this point, I obviously don't have a child to take care of. And so this is all very new, but, it just seems like a lot, like it's going to be a really big change that's going to be very sudden. And I'm not going to know how to turn from this guy into someone who's now is becoming like a dad, someone who can lead by example, someone who can, let the kids see that I repent, or someone who, is, taking the initiative on spiritual matters, or, trying to do, let the kids know that I'm actively trying to do my ministering assignments or things like that. Right. And so it just seems like it's a lot that's really fast, because right now I just feel like I'm just a young adult at this point, really. Right.
Well, here's the good news.
Becoming a dad is like a next level stuff.
It's a transition, but I will say this, just, when we had a little baby at home, one of the things I was afraid of was solid food. Like, I did not want to be the guy that was feeding solid food to a baby, man. That was dangerous, man. I was afraid of any of the things that go south. But here's the good news. The baby, the little kids, the toddlers, the 10-year-olds, they're very forgiving. And I think if we can learn, there's some good lessons to be learned as parents from their ability to forgive us and love us, right? And sometimes I think back to Mike. I think back to Nate Ward, his episode that he did with us, and he talked about being kind and to ourselves and patient with ourselves. And I think in the world of fatherhood and marriage, we have to learn to be kind to ourselves and patient with ourselves. So those things will come, And shoot, by the time you're like in Dave Speck's shoes, you got 6 running around. You got this thing dialed in. There's no more questions.
But, you know, and Nick,
it's all figured out.
And Nick, I appreciate you sharing that. A couple of thoughts that I have as I hear that is I'm thinking of the Savior, right? Mm-hmm. And how he grew, and how we all grow, line upon line, precept upon precept, and I would actually point to your previous performance as an indicator of future success. Mm-hmm. How did you get good at anything you do? And you do a lot of things well. It's the same game. Mm-hmm. When you were serving a mission in the Philippines, how did you learn? Right? How did you learn a language? How did you learn to love people? Yeah. You know, when you're an athlete and you're running track and field and you're grinding through the 800, or you're cross country, how did you get good at that? And being a dad is the same.
And you know what, Mike? It's funny because I think, like, as I'm listening to Nick talk about, you know, these things that he's afraid of, I think there's Nick. I've been married 24 years in February. 24 years. Thank you.
Is that a question?
February 8th. Ricky? So I've been married 24 years in February. My oldest is 20 years old, and I'm still afraid, right? I'm still figuring it out. I'm still working through stuff. And you know, to go back to Dave, your point about letting him see you repent. And I think it's okay to let him see you be afraid, you know, and let him see you be worried. I think all those things are important. You know, I think it's important to be real. You know, I think a certain level of transparency, and there's some things that we're going to want to shield our kids from. That's just, you know, that's the reality of things. But I think that transparency deepens relationships. You know, I think about David Hill, who said, vulnerability is the cornerstone of friendship, right? I think that the same thing goes for our children. I think it's important to share some of those feelings with them. But in that,
you know, like, you mentioned too, I'm just thinking, Dave Specht, in your episode, I mentioned something like, you know, they'll always know they can come home, right? They'll always know that there's that unconditional love. And you actually stopped and said, what evidence have you given them that what you just said is true?
That's
and Nick,
it, right?
I would just apply that to every aspect. Kids are looking for evidence. What evidence does dad provide that he has faith? What evidence is he providing that he loves his mom, that he loves mom, right? What evidence is he showing that he loves me, right? They're always looking for actual evidence, not words, but evidence, action. And I think that's going to be your charge. That's all of our charge. That's our charge as husbands and as dads, is to give evidence.
All right, Dave, so you've got something to build on that. Yeah.
So Nick, I just had a flashback.
Yeah.
I was going to school. McKaylee was 2 weeks old, and I had all kinds of anxiety built up because I would hold her at night. I would look her in the eyes, and I would just be freaked out. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm too young. Like, we made a mistake. There's no way I'm going to have all the answers this little girl needs for her life. And I was taking a religion class, and Elder Bednar was actually teaching it. And I asked him, I had a one-on-one with him, and I told him, I said, I'm a wreck. Like, the last 2 weeks have been rough. I'm supposed to be like full of joy with this little girl in our house, and I'm just anxious. I just don't have all the answers that she's going to need. And he told me something. He said, Dave, don't worry about having all the answers. Just make sure you have the right questions. And I had no idea what he was talking about at that time. But
it's like Yoda talk.
Yeah, that was Yoda talk. But what he meant was, like, when she's 4, what questions are you going to ask her so she'll tell you about her day? You know, when she's 16, what questions are you going to ask her so that she'll talk to you? Anyways, so don't worry about having all the right answers, but do take time on your questions, and whether that's in your study or trying to build a relationship with that little person, the right questions has always served me well.
Ashton, you've got a good question, right? What did your dad always ask you in the car?
Yeah, my dad would always ask me, Ashton, do you want to talk about girls or wrestling? Because I was a wrestler and had those questions to ask, and it was really just a question of like, hey, let's start talking about real life. And sometimes it was about wrestling, and sometimes it was about girls, and sometimes it was about neither, but it opened up the conversation to start talking.
And you actually played that forward in the life of your daughter, right? And it was like, you want to talk about life or the galaxy? Yeah. And she chose galaxy. You
may not have heard my episode, but I had that experience. It's been about 3 months ago now. My 10-year-old, I was like getting some good things about life on a daddy-daughter date, like tell me about life and school, and she was really responsive. And then my 7-year-old, we were sitting on the trampoline and she wasn't having it. And I was like, how's life? And she's like, stars. And I was like, well, tell me about school. Stars. Well, what about soccer? How's that going? Moon. And I said, well, Jake, you want to talk about life or do you want to talk about the galaxy? And she said, the galaxy. So then we talked about the galaxy. Yeah.
I love it.
Good questions.
Hey, any advice for Nick at this stage for setting goals as a couple? Anybody have any experience counseling with your wife and making couple goals or family goals? I think that could be a crucial thing for the Foote family moving forward. Ashton, go ahead.
Yeah, so what I would say is to make goals. There are like a lot of couples don't even do that. I mean, that's a great thing to even bring up, Mike, that we should make goals. You should make goals, in your business, in your life. You're supposed to have a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. Why wouldn't you do that with your family? You should do that. You should make goals. Something that we saw, so this is a rip off and R&D, rip off and duplicate. I went to somebody's house when we had just barely been married, and we saw this family had their own family proclamation. And I thought, Lydia and I were like, whoa, that's awesome. We should have a Buswell family proclamation. So we spent months thinking about it. Like, what do we want to have as our proclamation? And I looked at it this morning. Since June 2007, we were married in September 2006. So less than a year of being married, we wrote up this Buswell family proclamation. And that's kind of like our goals from when we started our marriage. Things have changed and we've got kids and lots of different things going on. But if you could create your own family proclamation and then do your best to stick with it, it's been a really neat pillar for us, and our kids see it. It's like, we got the family proclamation up and we got our own Buswell family proclamation in a different spot in our house that's fairly prominent, and our girls see it all the time. So they're bound to read it. Right. And so it's a part of them too. Anyway, make goals and then, do your own family proclamation.
Dave Voigtlander, talk to me about goals and I'm just curious because I think I love that idea of writing a family proclamation, your own version. I mean, my daughter's.
You
20.
better hurry, otherwise.
I was just going to say she's out of the house. It's like me and Ricky, But I've always told
your turn to recite it, Ricky.
I've always told Ricky, I'm like the goal for us is to downsize into a 2-bedroom house, so they can only come back so often, right? So that's the goal. But Dave, talk to me about that with you and the kids and Carissa.
Yeah, I love the proclamation. Crease is going to listen to this, so I'm already going to be on the hook and have to do that. But I love it. I'm bought into it.
Get to do that. I love it.
Yeah.
We probably maybe we have goals, but I would probably say it's a little more casually. And so what I mean is we may hit like a milestone with a kid, like a birthday, and we will set a what do we need to provide this kid in the next year or even through school year. And we kind of do that individually with each kid. And we've done similar things that I love to hear that how Ashton talked about, we've tried our best to do the daddy dates and even the mommy dates, and have those times. And I think those are little subtle goals that are super important of time. And so I would say if we have a bucket that is a goal, it always has to do with time. It's not about, can I get a different job to provide for the family? Can I move to San Diego? Can I move to Portland? Whatever. It's always something about time, and that time may also obviously be something in a spiritual context too. So I know there's different ways. I mean, probably in business, I much more write the goals down and the whole business plan, so to speak. We try our best to have family councils, and we bought like an actual book that the church has. It's about how to conduct family councils. And there's different methods to even holding those councils, whether they're spiritual or temporal or all the above. And I would recommend it. And if I can find it, I'll share it with you guys so you can put it in your reference on your podcast. Yeah. It's buried somewhere at the moment, but even the value of family councils and just having, again, honest, transparent conversations and in essence, weekly or biweekly or monthly goal setting that include the entire family. That's worked for us.
It's cool because I a few months ago, we were having a conversation in our home about helping someone out, and we kind of had this back and forth, and my 16-year-old daughter, she just said, well, this is what we do. This is what the Goulds do, and I just thought that was a cool moment, right? You have these, you talk about modeling, you talk about goal setting, you talk about patterns, and then to have them embraced, I think that's the payoff, right? You have these family councils, you do these things, and eventually it becomes part of who they are. And, that's sort of the payoff, at least one of them. Sergio, what about you?
As a couple, I go back to what Ashton said earlier, that in your business, you have your 3-year plan, your 5-year plan, 10-year plan. Always have plans. Always take each other into consideration of what do you want to do? What do you want to do for fun? Especially now that little one is coming. You know what? Don't be afraid to take that little one with you guys everywhere. We took one thing that I'm thankful, and the kids I know come back now and tell me that they're thankful. Me and Liz, when the kids were little, we took them to all the parks. We traveled. We did everything. We were not afraid to take the kids with us. I was a young man's, I think, second counselor at the ward level. And I would take Samantha, the one that Ashton just recently married. Mm-hmm. She was like 2-3 months old. I was taking her to the Padres game. So don't be afraid to take that little one.
That's like cruel and unusual punishment right there.
Yeah, well, it could have been a Padre-Dodger game. You never know, right?
Well, again, every time I go, the Padres win, so I'm a good luck charm for them. We won't talk about the Dodgers here. But no, anyway, going back to the kid, take them anywhere. Plan your activities that you two will enjoy, and the kids will come along, and later on, they will appreciate that you took them with mom and dad. Don't be afraid to take them anywhere, but plan together and decide what you're going to do with your life together.
One of the things that we always talk about on this show is just improving, right? And striving to become better, to become the best version of ourselves. I'm curious for our panel, right? And Nick talked about some of the things that he's got on his mind, that he's scared of, that are out there, that he's worried about. But what are you guys working on today to be a better husband and father?
I'll tell you, I gotta be more patient with the one I have left here at home. He's at that point that he's gotta make a decision, which path to take, and all that. And I think on my show, I said, all you gotta do is love them and be supportive. But with that, you have to be patient. They're on their timeline. They're not on your timeline. Remember, you had to make decisions. You took your time on deciding which career to choose, which way to go. And your parents had to be patient with you. So work on being more patient.
I'll jump in. I can't echo the patience even from day one, but it continues on. I mean, for me, as simple as this may be, it's on navigating the environment we're in, where 3 kids are home. They're all doing homeschool on video. They're active. I'm sure all kids are active. We all probably think our kids are always the craziest. So I'm going to say, I feel like my kids are the craziest kids in the world, but I'm sure there's others too.
Active is a cuter way to say it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. And going, she has a lot, again, on her plate of really teach. She didn't sign up to teach a 6 and a 7 and an 8-year-old. That's not her specialty. It's not her she, like I said, she didn't sign up for it. So I am trying to think always how can I lean in, and how can I even the little things of understanding the passwords to get the kids logged into school. So, because there's a few times I said, well, I can't help because I don't have their logins. So I'm trying, to be active and present in the situation we're in, because it's unique to everyone. And thank goodness she's given me some grace and the same back. So I know that's not some earth-shattering thing we're working on, but it's something that impacts us 5 days a week, balance between work and kids and just COVID life. And it's a struggle. It's been really hard. And so that conquering that is a huge one for us.
I like that idea of being more present, though. I think that's that's a big deal, especially given the situation that we're in. And I think all of us are in this situation, with the exception of Nick. Maybe this will just pass you by, but all of our wives are at home with children, sitting in front of school. I mean, I've got kids in every house in this home, or every room in this home, in front of a computer. So yeah, it's interesting times.
I thought it's funny though, David, you mentioned, it's hard. So Nick, I would just say, choose your hard, right? It's all hard. You can jump in and serve, and that would be hard. Or you can sit on the couch and don't do anything. That'll be hard too. Right? Not necessarily your effort, but the consequences of not helping is going to make your life hard. So really, it's a matter of choosing the hard that you want. And I think it's important, as we do think about where you're at. Nick, we had all of these guys come spend some time with us, and we talked to them about hinge moments in their life. And so many of them talked about where you're at.
Yeah.
So many of them shared hinge moments that happened in your stage of life right now. Right? So when Sergio and David are talking about being patient and paying attention and just being present, man, there's going to be a door. There's going to be a door that opens. There's going to be a spot. When you see that spot, be worthy to receive the revelation and go hit that spot, because those are the moments that are coming for you. And that actually gets me excited thinking about, even where you're at in this life. And, I think of Dave Speck talking about paying attention, right? Paying attention to the lessons that are coming.
So I have one. In my job, I work with families that have been really financially successful, and the biggest trouble that they have is not giving. It's not passing on their valuables to their kids, but it's passing on their values. And so as you're developing your career, don't let the pursuit of money or of ease, distract you from figuring out what are your top values and how are you actively transferring those, to that little one. Because again, you can always go make more money, but you're not going to have more time. And I love doing this exercise because this is me preaching to me. Nick, I'm glad we can talk to you, but this is me preaching to me, saying, wake up, wake up. These kids are growing up, and rejigger the priorities, because they're going to be grown, and you're not going to have influence on them anymore. And that's crazy. You're going to have your first child, and you're thinking that's forever. you know, that you'll have influence on them, but it goes so fast. I sound like an old dude now.
Hey, no, so Dave Speck, Nick, here's some homework for you. All right. When you're off the call, you're going to grab your Book of Mormon and you're going to go to the book of Jacob. And you're going to go to chapter 7 of Jacob. And Tyler, I need a Kleenex right now, right?
Don't go. Don't do it,
It's a big verse, but somewhere in the middle there, some of the sweetest scriptures that I know written on my heart.
726.
726. You got it right in the middle, Tyler. Because I'm not a full verse guy. I'm a line guy.
Time passed away with us, and also our lives passed away like as if it were unto us a dream.
Old men nod.
Amen, brother.
I like it, like as if it were a dream, right? Like going to Tyler's point, we would all go back in a heartbeat to 24, about to hold our first kid. But I wouldn't trade it.
Amen.
I wouldn't trade it for where I'm at.
Yeah.
Right. But to Dave Speck's point too, like get those priorities straight now because they will be challenged. Right. This show's called Richest Men in Town, patterned after the movie It's a Wonderful Life. There's a scene where George Bailey's ship has come in and Potter offers him a once in a lifetime. And George Bailey reaches his hand across and shakes his hand with Potter, and he realizes, whoa, that offer goes against everything that I believe in. If he doesn't have his priorities straight, he makes a trade-off. Life is going to present you with trade-offs. You need to have that priority list written down on the tablet of your heart because they'll be challenged, right? And time passes away like as if it were a dream. Kind of like this show, Tyler. So people are like, why are we 2 hours? It's because it passes like a dream, brother.
All right. So here's what I want to do. I want to ask this question. Then let's start with Nick first, because Nick is going to on December 30th.
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Wait. Sometimes they come early. Sometimes they come late.
Yeah, well, hopefully early because you need that tax credit.
Yeah, waiting for the tax money.
Exactly. So, all right, so
let's just keep that tax credit thing between us boys here. Though. Your wife doesn't need to worry about that. Take care of herself.
That and the 6,000 people listening to this too.
That's right. But Nick, if Benjamin is listening to this podcast 15 or 20 years down the road, what do you hope that he takes away from what you say in this podcast?
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying.
You know what? I love that answer. As long as we're trying, right? And so I would ask you guys the same question. I mean, if your kids are listening to this, to your words, what do you hope that they take away from what you've said and what you can teach them? Dave Voigtlander, why don't you start us out?
The thing that comes up so much with my kids, that's something we say, and again, I'll be super brief with the background. Nick, if you haven't had a chance to listen to mine, my kids all come from other families, and we fostered and adopted them. And when you get to a point of fostering kids, they're coming from homes that they weren't treated with love or respect, or drugs and alcohol and a lot of different things. So even though we had 2 of our kids came to us as a baby, like we took them from the hospital, our 2-year-old wasn't. And so we have been open about their adoptions, and we have let them meet their birth moms and families. And we had a big send-off before we moved from San Diego to Portland, and we were very open with it. However, so they know kind of they had this whole other life, and also to some degree some other trauma that exists. So I know it actually is something that was brought up a little earlier, as saying, but we say it, and I wanted to give you some context. I do with all my kids pretty frequently. Here I go, getting my sentimental part of it, is I do that, tell them often that I will always come back for you. And it's because these kids, have memories or have a background to where someone gave up on them. And so for me, I say that often. And even if we're a little upset at each other, I'll acknowledge it and say, hey, Bella, I know I'm a little upset, I'm a little mad, but I love you and I will always come back for you. And that has been a constant saying in our home. But I guess I wanted to give a little context to it, why that's a very important saying in our home, or that I say to my kids, because they need to hear it, and it's important for them to hear it.
Sounds like your family proclamation right there.
Yeah. Dave Whitelander comes on and makes me cry, dude. What is that all about? Sergio, what about you?
Man, if they're hearing it long time from now, they go back to this podcast. I hope and I pray that when it's their turn to have their kids, they love them more than I love them. Because no matter what they do, I will always be there at their corner to pick them up, dust them off, and get them on their way. Just like the man upstairs is there for me, I want to be there for them. Nick, that scripture, Jacob 7:26, it's like a dream. Make it a priority that you're there on all their kindergarten presentations, their first grade, second grade, all the way through high school and even college, that you're there for every activity, because they will always be looking up to see where mom and dad are. And even if they're the superstar or they're the bench warmer, they got to see that mom and dad are there to help them out and support them on all their endeavors. Love them like there's no tomorrow.
I know how much you love your kids. It's gonna be hard to imagine them loving their kids any more than you can love them. But that's great advice, Ashton.
If my kids are listening to this years down the road, it's all just about love for me. My ministry and what I try to have my whole life around is around love. So I hope that those little girls, cute little girls, know that they're loved by me, loved by their mom, and that they love each other. You got me choked up too, Voigtlander, on that. I'll always come back for you, but they know that we'll always be there for them no matter what. And because it's out of love, and that we love Jesus. I want my kids to know that. I want them to know. I really love what Speck said earlier, that it's okay to make mistakes, or that mistakes are going to happen, but I love Jesus enough that I'm always going to go back to him, so that I want them to know that I love them and that I love Jesus. Those are the things I would love for them to hopefully see in me every day. And when they listen to this 20 years from now they get to hear it again.
All right, Dave, what are your thoughts?
I hope they just don't say my dad was a fraud. That podcast thing, he talks a good game. Oh man, I hope they all say that my dad had my back. My dad encouraged me to have ambitious dreams and goals, and he picked me up along the way. My life is full of walk-on moments where you're going after something ambitious and you come up short, and then you try to get up and you keep going. I mean, I hope that my kids believe that I've always been there for them, and that I've always pushed them to do more and to be more than they thought they could be, because I feel like I've had a few of those people in my life that believed in me. And I guess that's all I would say.
That's pretty good, Dave. I think if we, I love it.
Whoa, Tyler.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Like your own medicine, brother.
I was going to ask you that same question. Look, it's hard to come up with something that is unique after listening to what you guys have said. I love that idea of I'll always come back for you. I mean, that's powerful. But I'll echo Sergio and Ashton. I want my kids to know that no matter what, their dad loved them, right? No matter what happened, their dad loved them, and he was in their corner every time. So I would echo those sentiments. I would echo the sentiment of Ashton that I want him to know that, I love the Lord, and that my life is built on that foundation. And I would certainly echo, Dave, your sentiment of pushing them to be better and believing in them to be something greater than maybe they see in themselves. It's important to have that cheerleader in our corner for sure. So I wish I could have something unique, but what's been great about 30 episodes of The Richest Men in Town, I have so many different lessons that I've learned from so many different people that I've just applied, adopted, and Ashton, what did you call it? Rip off and
R&D, rip off and duplicate, man.
Rip off and duplicate. That's my strategy. So I love it. But Mike,
hey Tyler, you still got your Book of Mormon handy?
I do, yeah.
I think I could wrap up all of these sentiments. And Nick, I love that. I'm trying, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember like it was yesterday. I'm standing in white. I'm looking at an 8-year-old Abe Freeman dressed in white. And I said, hey, can we make a little covenant to each other right here, right now, that we're going to try to do everything we can to follow Jesus and to love God, because that's what this is about, right? Let's go get baptized. And it was just a moment that I'll never forget. And I remember a man we admire here in the program, friend of the program, Toby Crawford. One time he shared 2 Nephi 25:26. Can you read that for me, Tyler?
Yeah. And we talk of Christ, we rejoice in Christ, we preach of Christ, we prophesy of Christ, and we write according to our prophecies, that our children may know to what source they may look for remission of their sins.
Man, I remember he shared that and he said, it's who we are. It's in our walk. It's in our talk. And I love my kids, but my love for them isn't going to save them. And we need to be able to point, right? Our kids are going to be in wilderness. Our kids are going to be racked and harrowed by their sins. And man, how great would it be if the words of their father were bouncing around their heads and they reached out and said, oh, Jesus, thou Son of God, have mercy on me.
You know what's great about that, Mike, is your love for them may not save them, but your love for them will model where they can find that love that will save them.
We're just trying to point.
Right? Yeah.
We're just trying to point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whew. Kleenex moments. Those were powerful, boys. Wonderful.
All right. So this is the great thing, right? I mean, we've all, as far as I'm concerned, Nick should walk away from this being the perfect dad. I mean, he's just had 2 hours. I mean, come on. That's way more than I had, man. He's got it figured out now.
Not get too hasty.
Yeah. But
hey, I will tell you though,
Yeah.
Tyler, something about this work, something about this project, Nick, I'm going to promise you what was said here tonight, it'll surface when you need it, man.
Definitely.
Right? There's going to be moments where it might be tomorrow. It might be a couple months down the road. You might be in those places, those sacred places with your kids. And I just thank the guys for showing up tonight, because it's in there, right? And if it's coming up in my life, I know it's going to come up in yours, right? Because that's how this works. So I appreciate the lessons that have been dropped tonight.
Well, Nick, we end every show the same way, right? We've asked these guys, and they've answered the question, what it means to them to be the richest man in town. And 24 years old, on the cusp of being a father, right? And some big things happening in your life. Nick, what does it mean to you to be the richest man in town?
I think to be the richest man in town, it means to take all the good that's in us and try to make it and try to show it to those around us, to others. There's both a lot of bad and a lot of good that comes from us, from just people. But being the richest man in town, I think, is when we take as much or all of that good that we have in us and try to show that, rather than any of the bad stuff that might be, that might be in us or something.
I love it. Well, look, here's a great thing. Tonight, we got to spend some time with people that I consider some of the richest men in town, and with Dave Speck and Ashton and Sergio and Dave Voigtlander. And of course, Mike, I'm always grateful for the time that we get to spend together each week, but this has been fun. It's a unique thing. And I was telling Nick prior to you guys jumping on, when I was his age, getting ready to bring home Sydney Lou from the hospital, I would have loved to have sat down with 4 or 5 guys that have gone through a few of the battles and asked some questions and get some advice. So for me, it's been a learning experience tonight. And Nick, I hope you found some value in the discussions we've had tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I want to thank all of you guys for letting me, giving me the tips and your advice and these awesome lessons. I took notes, so I will be referring to both this recording and the notes later down the road for sure. So you guys will be remembered for sure in the Foote household.
Well,
hey,
now
Nick,
you're part of the town, man. So there's no escaping.
Yeah, Nick, enjoy everything that this next month is going to bring you.
Yeah.
Just be there, and I hope that that when you hold that baby, I hope you understand what this is all about. The second you hold a kid, you understand Heavenly Father's plan. You understand the role, right, that family has. You'll understand the love. You have it with your wife, but now you'll know what it would feel like to lay down your life, right? That's the kind of love that'll happen on the 30th or the 29th or the 31st or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Better be before the first. That's all I can say.
Hopefully 2020. Right?
That's right.
Hey, there are perks to a New Year's baby. I think you get free stuff or something.
Oh, do you? All right. Well, I don't know. So, all right, you guys, it's been fun. We appreciate you being here with us tonight. We'll do it again some other time, but we're going to get it.
Hey, you know what? I'm thinking I see some round 2s here. I see some guys here that got another chapter. So we might be hitting up some solo act here. Calling
not only that, I feel like there's a group session where we talk about the most embarrassing moments with kids as well. So that that could fill a couple hours. Right? All right. You guys have a good night, and thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good idea, Ernie. A toast to my big brother George, the richest man in town.